Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another deep dive, where we dive in deep on everything Helldivers 2 so that way we can better understand how everything works. Today, we're going to be talking about the big OGB, aka the Orbital Gatling Barrage. So the Orbital Gatling Barrage has been, let's just put it this way, it's been kind of like a rotten stepchild. Everybody kind of knows it's there, but they avoid it because it's just kind of annoying and they just avoid it. But there were quite a few people that were using this thing. It was a very niche community crying out saying that you just don't know how to use it. It's really good, actually. It can kill elites and all matter of things, but it still mainly was widely unused by the community. So in the more recent patch that came out on Helldivers 2, Arrowhead admitted this and they gave this thing a massive buff, and now it is one of the golden stepchilds in the stratagem market. So why is it so popular now? Why is it so good? Because I know a lot of you haven't been using it, and should you actually be using it, because is it actually as good as people are saying? Well, we're going to explore that in this video today. I have a ton of notes, obviously, like in the last ones, if you've seen any of them. This is going to be a very detailed video, so buckle in and get ready to learn a lot about the Orbital Gatling Barrage. Let's get started. So the tooltip for the Gatling Barrage reads: a barrage of high explosive rounds fired from the destroyer's high-speed rotary autocannons. The stat breakdown for the Orbital Barrage is the call-on time is 3 seconds or 2 seconds with the ship upgrade. The uses are unlimited, so you can use this as much as you want. The cooldown is 70 seconds or 63 seconds with the ship upgrade. The duration is 12 seconds, but you will notice that it does shoot past 12 seconds. We'll get into that in just a minute. The rounds per salvo are 60 and 75 with the ship upgrade, and the maximum active at once you can have from your party is unlimited. So if you have a party of 4, you can throw 4 of these at a time and have tons of barrage hell raining on the enemies. So from the patch notes, they increased the fire rate by 25%, they increased the rounds per salvo from 30 to 60, and they increased the overall armor penetration so that way it can damage heavily armored units more effectively, and they decreased the cooldown from 80 seconds to 70 seconds. So the ship upgrades that affect the Gatling Orbital Barrage are as follows. We have more guns. This says that barrage orbitals fire 1 additional salvo per barrage. So how this affects the Gatling Barrage more specifically is that it allows it to fire more shots in a sense. So with the Gatling Barrage, organically, you now get 60 rounds per salvo. It was 30, now it's 60. And this is significant because now you get actually 75 rounds per barrage, roughly, with the ship upgrade, because before it was around 40 with the ship upgrade. So it has a 1.25 times multiplier, so now you're getting around 75. So as for the zero breach loading, which also affects this barrage, the orbital stratagem cooldown is reduced by 10%. So it's pretty simple. It drops from 70 seconds to 63 seconds. And lastly, targeting software update reduces the deployment time of orbital stratagems by 1 second. So instead of it taking 3 seconds to shoot, it actually shoots in 2 seconds. So now we're going to jump into the general overview for the Orbital Gatling Barrage. So a brief disclaimer: just like every other orbital strike you can use in the game, you need to consider your ship's orientation before you throw this. An example being is that if your ship is right above you, it's going to shoot straight down. If it's off to the left, it's going to shoot from left to right. If it's off to the right, it's going to shoot from right to left, and any other matter of combinations of that. But you need to understand that no matter where you throw it, if there's a rock in the way or some sort of obstacle in the way, it's going to primarily be hitting that rock. Or if it's directly behind you and you're on a higher hill or something, you're going to die to this thing because it's going to end up shooting you on accident or something. So you just need to be mindful of where the ship's orientation is before you throw this thing in. So how does the OGB work? So you call this thing in and it takes about 43 seconds, depending on your ship upgrade, like I said, to start shooting down bullets onto the ground. Now you'll look up in the sky and you can actually see this thing to start shoot, and there's a little bit of a delay until they hit the ground. But once it starts shooting, there's pretty much constant barrages hitting the ground. This covers about a 20-meter or so radius. There are some random shots that do hit outside of this radius, but for the most part, it's pretty contained to this tight 20-meter radius. This will last about 12 seconds, as I said in the tooltip, but after 12 seconds, you'll notice it's continued to fire. So the guns actually do stop firing after 12 seconds, but there is a few more bullets raining down from the sky because, like I said at the beginning of this, there is a little bit of a delay with the bullets actually coming from space to actually hitting the ground. The key thing you need to understand about this barrage, and really anything in the game, is that the cooldown for this actually actually starts when the call-in timer hits 0. It doesn't start when the barrage concludes. So really that 12 seconds that the barrage is shooting is actually counting toward the cooldown, because it will still be continuing to cool down right after that call-in timer hits 0. So what is the overall utility for this barrage? The first thing is that it's very effective against objectives. You're able to dispatch with illegal broadcast, shrieker nest, spore towers, egg nest, and anything else of that nature. It's pretty effective against those and will destroy a lot of these things in just a couple of shots. This can also destroy bug holes and fabricators, but it's not as effective against those because those do require a little bit more precision. So if one of the bullets lands in the bug hole, it's going to destroy it, or if it lands into one of the vents of the fabricator, it's going to destroy it. But it's a little bit more inconsistent with dealing with these, but it can do it technically. One of the hidden abilities about this barrage that a lot of people don't know is that it actually has a staggering capability. So if it hits an enemy, the enemy is going to be staggered for a second. If they get hit with 1 or 2 barrages in a row, they're going to be really staggered. So that's something pretty cool about it. So focusing more specifically on the Terminate side for a moment, pretty much anything up to Charger level will be instantly killed by this thing, or killed within at least 2 shots. Now Chargers do get really messed up by this barrage. It actually does do some pretty good damage, and like I said, it does stagger them a bit. Now in my testing though, Chargers are not killed in 1 barrage. It takes typically about 3 to 4 barrages. Primarily because the random nature of the Charger's movement, because they're charging at you and they typically move quite a bit. They're not usually standing still. And also the randomness of the barrage shots, because they're not all hitting the same exact location. So even if the Charger for whatever reason is non-mobile and it's just completely stationary, it's still not going to die in 1 full barrage. Now what this thing does is, again, it does stun Chargers, which is pretty cool, and it also can remove Charger plating. So if you have a moment where you throw in a barrage, you get lucky because it takes off its leg plates or damages its back quite a bit, you can just go in and actually shoot the weak spot area and actually kill it pretty quickly. You don't need to wait for another barrage to come back or anything else. One other little tip, if you want to take this a step further, is you can use stun grenades to keep the Chargers in the barrage. Stun grenades do actually work extremely well against Chargers still, so you can take that for what it is, but at the same time it's not really required, because again, it's probably not going to kill it in 1 full barrage. So against Bile Titans, unfortunately, this is a little bit of a worse story. It takes up to 5, maybe even 6 barrages to kill a Bile Titan, and yes, I did run around using this thing trying to kill a Bile Titan, and it took quite a long time. Primarily, again, it's the same story. These are large, they move fast, and they don't stay in the barrage zone very long, which is kind of annoying. Unfortunately, unlike Chargers, they don't really suffer from the stun effect from the barrage as much, nor can you stun them with stun grenades, so they're just moving all the time. Now, your best case scenario is that the barrage hits them enough times in one area to open up one of their armor plates, so that way you can quickly shoot them with a regular gun or with a rocket or just something to be able to kill them even quicker. But yeah, you're likely not going to kill a Bile Titan with this barrage. So it's a similar story on the automaton side. Light to medium armored units are killed really quickly. It's really effective against those. And the OGB is actually really effective against tanks and turret towers, because tanks are really slow, they don't really move very fast, and their big vent is exposed. So it really does a lot of work and can usually kill a tank in 1 barrage. It's the same thing with turret towers. Turret towers are stationary, their vents are exposed, and you're gonna kill a turret tower in 1 barrage. So this thing is extremely effective against those. However, against Hulks, it's just like a Charger, where you can stun them, but Hulks are actually less affected from the stun grenade, which is unfortunate, and they can get stunned from the barrage. But again, they're charging at you a lot of times and not standing still, so they'll move out of the barrage and not die instantly. So it will take a few barrages to kill these things. Now, if you get lucky and the barrage is at a good angle and it's hitting the vents on the back of the Hulk, it will kill it very quickly. But again, it's very infrequent that happens, and it's not a reliable way to kill Hulks, in my opinion. So for Factory Striders, it's not very effective at all, in my opinion. Yes, they are slower moving enemies, so they are getting hit by the barrage a lot more. However, their back is their strongest armored area, so it's not going to do a ton of damage to the Factory Striders. Now, if it hits it in the head, yes, it will do some more damage, but the real weak spot for Factory Striders is on its belly, so the strike doesn't hit right there. However, it does do a lot of damage, and paired with other stratagems, you can probably take down factory starters pretty quickly because this is doing consistent damage, because again, they are very slow and stay in the barrage range. So what's the overall strategy to maximize the OGB? So you want to use the OGB as much as possible. The quick cooldown of this of 70 seconds or 63 seconds with the upgrade allows you to use this barrage a lot during your missions, so you need to really be taking advantage of this. So with that in mind, you want to make sure you're using this to attack bug nests as well as bot camps. This will soften those camps up a lot. It will destroy objectives. It will destroy some of the heavier units in there if there are some, or really mess them up, and it will just absolutely destroy the light and medium armored units. So it's just a very good starter for when you're attacking any of these encampments. So I love using these specifically on the large defense missions and during the eradicate missions, because on the large defense missions more specifically, since there are gates and it's kind of like more of a narrower path for the enemies to have to come, it's great. You just throw it in the little gateways and it absolutely destroys any enemies, even the elite enemies coming through those little areas, because it's just going to sit there and pelt them with bullets, and you'll see a ton of kills from this. It's the same thing with the eradicate missions. The whole goal of the eradicate missions is to get as many kills as humanly possible, and since this thing has a quick cooldown, you're able to throw this thing constantly, and if you throw it in the right places, you're going to get a ton of kills from this thing, so it's very effective in both of these mission types. Another best case scenario to use this thing in is a bug breach. If you see a bug breach start to happen, you can throw this thing in there and it will destroy everything coming out of these bug breaches. It's great against the elites that come out of these bug breaches too, since they take a little bit of time to fully start moving, especially the Bile Titans, so you can on occasion get a lucky barrage. If it hits a Bile Titan in the head, it will actually sometimes kill them pretty quickly. And lastly, the OGB pairs very well with any other strike in the game. My favorite combinations for the Terminus, for example, is I love using the gas strike as well as the napalm strike. It's really effective and you'll see a ton of kills from this. On the automaton side, the EMS strike and the 380 actually work very well with this. Yes, 380 has a little bit of a longer cooldown, but if you're attacking any of the large bot camps with not only this, but a 380 and even an EMS, my goodness, it does so much damage to these camps. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right, so now for the most important part of the video, of course, how would I rank the Orbital Gatling Barrage in its current state? So for its overall usefulness, I give this a solid A. It's extremely useful in so many different situations. The quick cooldown allows you for some room for error if you do make some mistakes, because it comes back so quickly. Who cares? Just throw this thing willy-nilly. You're going to get a lot of kills, or just do something with it. So just use it as much as possible. And also the fact that it's so versatile and can damage so many things in the game makes it much less of a liability when compared to some other stratagems in the game. For the OGB's overall effectiveness, I'm going to have to give it a B overall, because it's very effective against objectives in the game, light to medium armored units, as well as it's great on the big defense missions and eradicate missions. This thing does decent work against elite enemies, but this is where its drawbacks are, because it is so focused area and these elite enemies typically move and they're much more heavily armored. You can't really do any meaningful damage, and you're going to be relying on a lot of other things to deal with these elite units in the game. But again, in pairing with these things, it is a nice little cherry on top, but I don't know. Like I said, I had to dock it a little bit just for that reason. So the overall fun factor of the OGB is by far an A tier. It is really solid in my opinion. It's not, oh my gosh, it's crazy explosion exciting, but just seeing the stat sheet just fill up with kills, because this thing is absolutely just decimating things in the game you're in, is absolutely fun, and it is a really solid stratagem to be using in the game. So my final overall ranking for the Orbital Gatling Barrage in its current state is a solid A. It is significantly better since the patch. I can definitely see a lot more people using this thing because it is way more fun. The fire rate increase is very nice, and just in general, it does rack up that stat sheet, which we know everybody loves to do. All right, so what are your thoughts on the Orbital Gatling Barrage? Are you using this in your arsenal? Is this something now that you seem to bring a lot more than before, or are you not using it at all? Just let me know down in the comments below. But anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.